Hi, my name is Lee Martin, and I'm the Executive Director for the Office of Field and Clinical Partnerships and Outreach. I'm making this video in an effort to help give everyone some updated information related to the fall practicum expectations and what will be forthcoming for spring student teaching expectations. Also just to share pertinent information and contact information. To begin, we just want to have a brief introduction to the South Carolina Teaching Standards rubric that South Carolina has adopted. So there have been some changes, or we're currently in the midst of some changes in South Carolina teacher evaluation, and those are outlined on this slide. The goal is really that the teacher evaluation process be used for continual improvement, that performance for teachers is differentiated using at least 3 levels, and you'll see on the rubric that I show you in a minute that performance is differentiated among 4 levels, and just that we use multiple measures to evaluate teacher growth, to include student growth, and that we are able to provide teachers with clear, timely, useful feedback. So Clemson University felt that since the state is moving in this direction, that we needed to prepare our students to move in this direction so that when they enter the field, they're fully prepared. If you think about kind of the whole process that I'm about to show you, really what has been done is, in order to measure student growth, the teacher is going to be evaluated according to their planning, their instruction, the classroom environment, and their professionalism. And just in terms of the timeline, really what's most important here is to note that full statewide implementation will be in the year 2018-2019. So last year was the first year that we adopted the full South Carolina Teaching Standards rubric for our students, because those teachers, when they're in their second year of teaching, it will be the first year that this rubric is fully adopted, and so we wanted them to be prepared. For our current seniors, when they are formally evaluated in their district, they will be evaluated using this rubric that I'm about to show you. Now, before we take a look at the rubric, let's first take a look at kind of some language associated with the rubric. So we're going to look at parts of it, and we're just going to look at this one slide and just examine the different parts of the rubric. The rubric is divided into 4 domains, and those were seen on the previous slide. The first one here is instruction. There are multiple indicators within each domain. So the first indicator we see within this domain of instruction is standards and objectives. The indicators are listed alongside the left-hand side of the rubric. The domains will always be at the top. Within the indicators, we have descriptors. So the descriptors under this proficient level are all of these bullet points here. There are also descriptors under needs improvement, there are descriptors under unsatisfactory, and descriptors under exemplary. So these are the descriptors that go along with the standards and objectives indicator within the instruction domain. And then for the descriptors, they're divided according to performance levels. So we have 4 different performance levels for each indicator. We have emerging, approaching proficient, proficient, and exemplary. And we'll talk about this a lot when we do the full rubric training, but it's going to be very rare that our students will receive an exemplary. Just as a quick kind of overview slide, I think this helps you see the entire rubric on one page, because it's a pretty lengthy rubric. So here you can see we've got 4 domains: planning, environment, instruction, and professionalism. Within each domain we have several indicators. Instruction has the most indicators. We've got 4 indicators under environment, 3 under planning. And then what you don't see on this slide are all of those descriptors and the performance levels within the indicators. Now, before we look at the dates, I do want to say that, well, we can look at the dates and then I'll pull it up. On Monday, January 8th, 2018, from 9 to 4, we're going to have a South Carolina Teaching Standards rubric training. Every university supervisor that evaluates a student teacher's performance has to be certified by the state to use this rubric as an evaluation tool. And on this day, we're going to give you everything you need to pass that certification exam that the state offers. The exam is something that you can take online. You have to watch a video of a teacher teaching, use the rubric to evaluate the teacher, submit that, and be within a certain kind of points of the calibrated expectation. And then you'll have an 8 questions that are multiple choice that relate to different parts of the rubric. So we're going to give you everything you need on Monday, January 8th. But again, every university supervisor has to be certified. If you've already passed the certification exam, it's good for 3 years. I want to let you know, too, that on Tuesday, January 9th, we're going to provide chalk and wire training. So we are going to use a new system this year, and I mentioned this briefly at our faculty and supervisor meeting. This new system is called chalk and wire. We're not using chalk and wire at all for the fall. We're only going to be using chalk and wire for the spring, and on Tuesday, January 9th, we're going to give you everything you need related to chalk and wire training. I'm also working with all of our district partners right now to ensure that every supervisor has internet access in the schools so you can upload rubrics before you leave the classroom if you want. Just forthcoming is the student teaching orientation, and we'll send more information about that as the time approaches. And also on Tuesday, September 4th, so this is I don't think it's the 4th. I'll have to check the date. I believe should be the 12th. This should be September 12th. We're going to have just a drop-in at Ollie, and we're going to have some pizza and just a time. This will be just a time to ask some questions that you might have. And I believe Bill's going to send an email about that soon. So just in light of this, let me show you a couple of things real quick. Here are the forms that you are going to use this fall for lesson observation, and everybody should have a copy of this right now. This is a form that is adapted from the full rubric, and I'll show you the full rubric in a minute. And so the language here should look familiar. If we scroll down, it's a little out of order, but here's the domain for instruction, and here are the indicators within instruction. What you need to do for the fall, if you're using this form to evaluate a student teacher, is recognize that this language here is the language of somebody that would score proficient or a 3. And so our students, especially in the beginning of the fall, they may not get a 3 because it's early on for them. They might get a 1 or a 2, and that's okay because it's early on. So just recognize this does not have performance levels. You read this recognizing that this is what you would see if the student teacher were proficient. Here you've got a place to add comments for strengths and areas for improvement. We do the same thing for the domain of the learning environment and then planning and instruction. Notice we don't have a professionalism domain here because you're just observing the lesson, but you do have some information to fill out regarding technology. So this form is about 4 pages, and the boxes should expand as you type your comments in. This is the form you will use for the fall. The other form that everybody is going to use for the fall is the fall final assessment. You'll recognize the domains here again and the indicators without any language about proficient, needs improvement, exemplary. It's just the domain and the indicators, and you have an opportunity to list areas of strength and area of improvement. You have that for each of the domains, including professionalism, because this is done at the end of the fall semester, and then for technology. Now, I want to just give you a glimpse of the full rubric that you'll use in the spring. Again, you're not using this rubric at all for the fall, but this is what we're going to begin talking about for the spring. So here we've got, this is really similar to the PowerPoint. We've got the domain, we've got the indicators, we've got all the descriptors, and the performance levels. You'll notice here the performance levels are a little different than what was on the PowerPoint I showed you. We'll provide clarification for that in January. This rubric is much more lengthy, and there's a lot of detail here. And so we just want to show this so that you'll start to understand why we need a full day to examine this rubric in January, because there's a great deal of detail related to this. We want to begin to have conversations about what this looks like in practice for our student teachers, how it might look different from elementary school student teachers to high school student teachers or middle grade student teachers. So we might see different things depending on the grade bands that our student is teaching. But you can see this is about an 11-page document, so it's a little more lengthy. And again, the only reason to show it to you is just so that you know what's coming. So just as a recap, for this fall, everybody is using the short form for lesson observations. It's called our lesson observation form, and it is based on the full form. Everyone is using the fall final assessment to conduct an assessment at the end of the semester. And this should be done in conjunction with the cooperating teacher's input. And then next semester, we will transition to using the full rubric for our midterm and final evaluations. And if you have not taken and passed that certification exam, we're going to hold the training for that on Monday, January 8th. So for dates to remember, notice I've changed this date right here for the drop-in, and you're going to be receiving an email. We just wanted to give everybody a chance to come in and get some food, and we wanted to say thank you for your hard work and just give you a chance to ask questions. And then upcoming dates are listed below. If you have any questions or concerns, we want to direct you to our contact information. We're happy to help out in any way that we can. If you note student concerns, let us know. If you have questions about expectations or what forms you're supposed to use, please don't hesitate to let us know at any time. And most of all, we just want to say thank you, that without your support and encouragement and your feedback, our students would not be as prepared to enter the classroom and the profession. So your role is vital to everything that we do in teacher preparation, and we really want to say thank you. We hope to see everybody on Tuesday, September 12th. Thank you.